Hello everyone. Today I'm going to tell you the story of Savanna Greywind and the Womb Raider. Please like and subscribe and hit the notification bell, and I'll get right into it. The story I'm telling you took place nearly 3 years ago on August 19th, 2017. At that time, Savanna Greywind was a 22-year-old woman expecting her first child, a daughter. The father of the baby's name was Ashton. They had been a couple since they were 15 years old, so they've been together about 7 years. Savanna was living with her parents in an apartment building, and Brooke Crews and William Hoehn lived on the 3rd floor of the same apartment building. Savanna lived with her family on the ground level floor. At the time this all happened, Ashton was working out of town. Savanna was really excited to be having her first child, but was also going through the discomfort of late pregnancy. She had swollen feet, and she had shortness of breath, and she really didn't feel like doing much of physical activity. Savanna was a member of the Spirit Lake Nation, and her mother is from the Turtle Mountain people. They had all moved from the reservation to the city to try to have better opportunities, but after all of this happened, they moved back, obviously. So what happened? Well, on August 19th, Savanna was at home, and around 1:24, she ordered a pizza for the family for lunch, and she texted her mom about that, and she was texting with her boyfriend Ashton, talking about her day. And then Brooke poked her head in the door and asked Savanna if she would go upstairs and try on a dress that Brooke was working on so that Brooke could hem it, and she offered Savanna $20. So Savanna texted her mom that she was going to go upstairs and help Brooke with a dress, and that Brooke was going to give her $20 for it. Around 2:30, Savanna's 16-year-old brother went upstairs and knocked on Brooke's door looking for Savanna, because Savanna had said that she was going to give him a ride to work, and he needed to be at work at 3. Nobody answered the door, but he could hear some sort of machine. He thought it was a sewing machine, so he went downstairs and told his parents that he heard a sewing machine going on and nobody answered the door. So a couple minutes after that, Joe, who's Savanna's dad, went upstairs, and he knocked on the door also. And this time, Brooke answered the door and said that they were right in the middle of working on the dress, and it would be a little while more. So Joe went downstairs and told his wife, Norberta, that the girls were still working on the dress, and that she would need to give the boy a ride to work. And Savanna's mom texted Savanna and didn't get a response before she took her son to work. She also noted that she saw Brooke's boyfriend, William Hoehn, arrive home before she left to take her son to work. So that was probably around 2:40. When Norberta came back, she did a few chores. She assumed that Savanna had come back and was maybe in her room or something, because she didn't see her in the apartment. But then she noticed that Savanna hadn't eaten any of the pizza, so she went upstairs and knocked on the door, and Brooke answered the door and told her that Savanna wasn't there, that Savanna had left a little while after her dad had knocked on the door. So Norberta thought that was pretty weird, and her mom radar was going off. She went back home and she tried Savanna. She tried Ashton. Ashton said he hadn't heard from Savanna since earlier in the day, around 1:30 or so, when she went up to the neighbor's apartment. And Savanna's keys were still there. Her car was still there. She had left her wallet. She hadn't eaten any of the pizza. This is all weird. So around 4:30, the Greywinds called the police, and the police arrived around 5 and went and talked to the Greywinds and were like, your daughter's an adult, blah blah blah, but as a courtesy, they went upstairs and asked Brooke, and Brooke let them come in to see that Savanna wasn't in her apartment. And then they left. And then it became nighttime. The Greywinds were getting more anxious. Savanna still hadn't come back. They hadn't heard from her. No text, no nothing. Nobody heard from her. So around 10:30, the police returned, and they went back to the Crews and Hoehn apartment. And they went in and they looked around, didn't see anything out of the ordinary. We're told again that, she left. And so they went back and they told the Greywinds again, well, she's an adult and, whatever. And, the Greywinds kept calling them for days about their concerns and were given the runaround. And pretty much, the police were not really grasping the seriousness of it. I think there might have been cultural misunderstandings because things are different in Native families where we tend to be tighter and more into each other's business, and adults still respect their parents and still tell their parents what's going on, etc. most of the time. And in this particular family, they were really tight, and it was very, very unusual to not talk to each other. Then on August 20th, the police returned to apartment 5 where Brooke and William lived, and they looked again, and still no sign of Savanna. Then on August 22nd, William Hoehn was arrested on an outstanding warrant after he arrived home from a shopping trip to Walmart where he bought diapers. He later bailed out after being interviewed by the police, and that, coupled with other things the police learned, including that William's co-workers said that he was telling them that he and Brooke had had a baby that weekend and that they named the baby Phoenix, that gave them probable cause. So they went back to the apartment with a warrant on August 24th, which meant that they would be able to search more extensively. They could look in other places, but turns out because they caught her by surprise, they didn't really have to look very hard because a newborn baby was on a bed in the apartment. So Brooke Crews was arrested at that point, and then they went and arrested William Hoehn at his job site. Brooke proceeded to tell the police horrible stories about Savanna that didn't make any sense, about how Savanna hadn't wanted her baby, that Savanna came to her house to find out about how to induce labor, and that Savanna had left and then come back and given her a baby and left again, which didn't make any sense at all, including the fact that these were people that Savanna didn't even know, and if she actually hadn't wanted her baby, she had plenty of family living right with her that could have taken care of it. But this baby was very wanted and very loved, and Savanna and Ashton were in a very good place and were really excited to be having this baby. Then on August 27th, 2017, kayakers saw what they thought was very suspicious. It was a body-shaped package, plastic and duct tape, and it was caught up on a log in the river. So they reported it, and the police went and investigated it, and it was Savanna, and they fished her out. She was cut open from hip to hip. Baby was gone, and she was able to be identified in part due to her tattoos, including the tattoo on her foot that read, "Too beautiful for Earth." So then, of course, they had already rushed the baby to the hospital, where it was declared to be miraculously in good health. Her name is Hazley Joe. And it took several days for them to confirm through DNA and stuff the identity and to give custody to Ashton. He actually got custody of his daughter on the day of Savanna's funeral. And he and the Greywinds are sharing custody of the baby, helping raise her up right. Brooke Crews pled guilty to conspiracy to commit murder, conspiracy to commit kidnapping, and lying to police on December 11th, 2017. On February 2nd, 2018, she was sentenced to life in prison without the chance of parole. On September 4th, 2018, William Hoehn pled guilty to conspiracy to commit kidnapping and providing false information to police, and he is serving 20 years. He was acquitted in his trial for murder. And during the trials, what we learned was that way back in January of 2017, Brooke and William were having trouble in their relationship. And so she told him that she was pregnant in order to hold on to him. And, in keeping with that lie, her baby was due sometime around mid-August. She couldn't have a baby because, she had medical procedures to make it so she couldn't have babies. And, she actually already has several children that she has never raised on her own. And, they are in custody of, I guess, their fathers or different family members. Whatever, she's an absentee mom. She never wanted to be a mom. And William, they wouldn't be able to adopt because William had been convicted of child abuse of his own child. He had cracked the skull of one of his infant children. Anyway, apparently things came to a head earlier in August when William supposedly harassed Brooke and told her that she better be producing a baby. And she testified that she never explicitly told him that she planned to kill Savanna and take her baby or anything like that, but that she assumed that that's what he wanted her to do, because after telling her that she needed to produce a baby, he had mentioned that Savanna was looking way pregnant. So then we learned that, according to Brooke, there had been a scuffle with Savanna because she had fabricated a reason to argue with Savanna, and she claimed that she knocked Savanna down and that knocked her out. But the autopsy showed that there was no head injury to Savanna. In fact, cause of death was either the bleeding out from the home cesarean or from the noose that was found around her neck. The neighbors downstairs had reported that they heard for about 20 minutes thumping noises and stuff in the bathroom upstairs, but they assumed that it was Brooke and William having another argument, because apparently they had many domestics and were really loud about it, and that after about 20 minutes they heard a shower running. Brooke says that when William came home, he saw her in the bathroom next to Savanna's body and that she was holding the baby, and that he asked her, is she alive, about Savanna, and Brooke said that she told him that she didn't know and she needed help, and that William went away and came back in his underwear with a rope that he put around Savanna's neck and strangled her, and then said, well, if she wasn't dead before, she is now. During her testimony, Brooke went into great detail about what happened, and we learned that she cut Savanna open with a box cutter, and that Savanna went in and out of consciousness, so she held her down and laid on her. She said that Savanna came in and out of consciousness while this was going on, while her baby was being ripped out of her. And the Greywind family were in the courtroom, as was Ashton, and baby Hazley Joe was sitting on his lap, and Ashton broke down and wept when he heard what had happened to Savanna. I think we all broke down and wept when we heard what had happened to Savanna. It was horrific. A horrible nightmare. William says that what happened was he got back and he saw Savanna on the floor and he saw the baby, and that he couldn't turn Brooke in or anything, so he decided to help her clean up the scene. Anyway, so they said that when police showed up on August 19th, that the baby was in blankets in the bed next to William, and that Savanna was wrapped up in plastic and shoved in a cupboard or closet in the bathroom. But the police couldn't open anything, so they didn't find her. And then they said that on August 21st, William had hollowed out a dresser, put Savanna inside of it, nailed the dresser drawers back on, and then the two of them had taken the dresser down to their vehicle and took it over to a bridge at the Red River and dumped it in. William said that Brooke was with him and that she had carried the baby out in a basket or tote or something. Brooke says that no, that she didn't go with for the dumping of the body, that she stayed home with the baby. Who knows? Anyway, when William had been arrested on the warrant, Brooke says that she carried the baby into the apartment in a bag because she had been with William when he got arrested, and she just walked off with the bag with the baby in it, thinking that she was caught, but she wasn't. So she just kept trying to lie about everything. This case helped bring a lot more awareness to the missing and murdered Indigenous women. Everyone is hoping that there will be changes to the way missing and murdered Indigenous women cases are handled, taking people more seriously when they tell them that an adult is missing and endangered. Baby Hazley continues to grow and thrive. She reminds everyone a lot of her mother. She has been growing up knowing her mother. As people tell her stories of her mother, she sees pictures of her mother, talks to the pictures of her mother. So that was the story of Savanna and the Womb Raider, and it's a loss that our entire community feels. The red dresses behind me symbolize missing and murdered Indigenous women, and when we wear red, that is in honor of the missing and murdered Indigenous people. Thank you for watching Another Day in the Car with JuleZ. Please subscribe and hit the notification bell.